3 races today for the Toyota MR2 Championship with more than 43 cars entered. Let's catch up with what happened at Donington.
Christian White, come here to Brands Hatch for the next round of the MR2 Championship. First round at Donington Park, really well. You lead the championship. How did it go there?
Yeah, it went excellent for us at Donington. Cars performing really well, made some changes, it's doing a good job. So, happy.
Cam Moulton, we're here at the next round of the MR2 Championship. Brands Hatch, lovely sunshine at the minute. First off, let's talk about the first 2 rounds. Cracking couple of races for you.
Yeah, good races, but kind of difficult preparation for it. So I was pretty unlucky all the way through testing. We had issues with the car. In qualifying, we had another issue, which is totally different again. So I was kind of starting too far down to go for the win. Kind of had to make the most of it and try and make a podium, which luckily I managed to do in both of the races.
Here today at Brands Hatch, a little bit different to Donington Park. Any problems before the weekend for you?
Yeah, preparing for this weekend I had quite a lot of issues with the gearbox. One of the mounts had one of the threads stripped out of it, so it's been a hectic week trying to get everything sorted, and finished it on Friday morning to get a couple of test sessions in. So hopefully if the track dries out we should be set up and ready to go and get a good result.
Such is the size of the entry, a handful of drivers took part in a separate qualifying session which was a bit drier, a bit faster, and so it's Graham Mailings and Warren Layton that line up on the front row of the grid as the lights go out, on board with Mick Nichols in number 89, a bit further back, row 7 of the grid for him. Darren Oldworth, I should say, that is, to the left hand side of him, number 8. As I'm sure the order will get shuffled a little bit in the early stages, with some drivers a little bit further up the grid than they normally would be. That should give us some very good racing indeed. Already you can see number 52, Warren Layton, is being swallowed up by the pack a little bit as they go around Druids for the first time. So it might just take a moment or two for this to settle down. That's Graham Mailings, number 71, running P2 at the moment, but he's behind the number 85 car of Nigel Ralphson. They are all behind, it's actually in third place because they're all behind Sean Traynor, who from the outside of the second round of the grid has a huge lead as they come round towards the end of the first lap of this race. Sean Traynor, last year's champion, dipped in form a bit towards the end of the year with car problems and he wasn't in his regular car. Donington, not a particularly happy event for Sean either, but he's made a good start to the race here. Question is, was it a little bit too good, I wonder? So down towards Paddock Hill Bend they go for the second time then, and there you can see the number 26 car with Paul Cook now in third position. That's the grey and yellow car, and just behind him is the roadster. That's Matt Rowe, the 47-year-old marketing manager from Winchester, becoming the third row on the grid. Brother Ben, Dad David, already out racing in the championship and have been for some years. Matt grew back into it from RGB. He last raced in that about 5 years ago. On board with Maxine Nichols now, the driving instructor, just tucked up behind one of the other roadsters and losing a place there to the number 84 car as well. That's Chris Thomas in the ex-championship winning car when it was driven by Matt Palmer. So the grid's still shuffling in this early part of the race. And you can see there's more and more of the roadsters now coming out onto the grid, which is good to see in this Toyota MR2 Championship. Onto the top straight, the Brabham straight goes Maxine then, and she started this race from 20th position on the grid. Now off goes her dad, that's Mick Nichols. Is he going to get towards, well, he gets towards the barrier, he doesn't quite reach it thankfully for him, and he gets all the way through the gravel trap. This is the replay, on board with him. What happened? Oh, yeah, once you get into the gravel of course the aim is to try and get back out of it again, because the danger is you'll get stuck. But he kept the power on, got through it okay, and came out the other side, but not before losing a few positions. So it's Traynor that leads, Ralphson in second, Cook in third, but we are getting word that there is a 10-second penalty for Sean Traynor for a jump start. So that means that he needs to pull out a 10-second advantage if he is going to be classified as the winner of this race, which will be a very tall order in Toyota MR2 Championship racing. There's Mailings, and then the 31 car is Ben Rowe. We've already talked about his brother Matt. Darren Oldworth looks to be just behind him, so that's for what, about 8th and 9th positions, those two. 32 car going through, Richard Orman, that bright green one, he's a newcomer. So really this is the battle for the lead between Nigel Ralphson and Paul Cook. Second and third on the track. There we see number 90 going through. That's Dan Holmes from Slough in a Rogue liveried car, Rogue Motorsport, preparing and running several of the cars in this Toyota MR2 Championship. There's Maxine Nichols then, watching her as she drops down to the bottom of the compression, rises back up towards the right-hander at Druids again. And yellow flags now waving on the exit of, oh yes, there's a car. Is that possibly Orm, is it? One of the green cars, certainly. As off goes the number 48 car of Michael Nash. Now that's not for the first time this weekend. Well, from the livery, it looks like it's an accident about to happen, and so it has proved. There's been one or two incidents for Michael Nash already this weekend, and a car stranded. It's another green car. That one is, I think, number 90, Dan Holmes, and that's right on the, well, across the circuit there. He's on the tarmac, and that's not a good place to be at all. I can see that can cause a bit of disruption unless he can get that car fired up, but he seems to be struggling. So this is the fight that's now going on for what is effectively second and third, because Lewis Ward there in car number 40, he has come on really strong, hasn't he? He started from the outside of the fourth row of the grid, the 25-year-old RAF technician from Starport, in the ex-Matt Wallace car. He's really piling the pressure now onto Paul Cook, and this will be for P2 with that penalty for Sean Traynor, and the red flags go out. The race being stopped, and I think that's because of that Dan Holmes car on the circuit at Clearways, clearly in a dangerous position. He couldn't get it fired up. The marshals couldn't get to it either, and so the red flags flying, and the result will be declared at 9 laps. Confirmation of those results then, and confirmation of a 10-second penalty for Sean Traynor, who was leading on the road. So Ralphson it is that wins by 0.4 of a second from Paul Cook, with Lewis Ward, like Cook, getting his first podium. Matt Rowe 4th, Anthony Day 5th, and Sean Traynor in 6th place. Fastest lap went to Lewis Ward, 57.14. Anthony Day getting the fastest lap and a lap record in Class C. A bit further back, you got Mark Warren Layton, who started on the front row, eventually finishing in 12th position.
Nigel Ralphson coming through for the first win of the MR2s of the day. Did you know you'd won that one?
No, I didn't know a clue. I was pleased with second, so it's an absolute bonus for first. But yeah, I was. I've only ever had a third before in the championship, and so to get a first is, I'm made up. I don't know what's happened with Sean. I don't know why he got the penalty, but a win's a win, isn't it? So I'm pleased with that.
Certainly, it feels special, I imagine, and you had some good racing out there on track.
Yeah, well, Paul was a lot better than me through clearways. Whichever way I tried it, I couldn't get any grip through clearways, just understeering out, and Paul would gain every time, but fortunately I would pull away again through the rest. So yeah, but once Lewis came behind him, it kind of took the heat off me a bit. So.
Paul Cook coming home in second place there in that MR2 race. I think we saw you on the podium at the end of last year. You're back here again.
You did, yes. Third last year and a second today, which is quite a surprise. I thought I'd third again today, but with Sean's qualification, yeah, second is great.
Nigel was very quick out there. Any chances to get through?
Yeah, early on in the race when the car was fully gripped up, I was quite. I thought I was going to catch him and overtake him, but the grip went at the end of the race, and I sort of fell back into Lewis's claws. So my just to stay out of, keep position and keep Lewis behind me. That was the main thing.
Lewis Ward picking up a third place there in that MR2 race. Surprised to be on the podium?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it came as much of a surprise to me as anyone, I think. Thought I'd finish fourth. I've just heard Sean Traynor disqualified for a false start, apparently. So yeah, over the moon with that.
Great racing out there on track as ever with the MR2s. Is this new for you or something else you're doing?
No, I've been doing it 12 months now, just over 12 months. This is the start of my second season. Just getting to grips with the car with each race, to be honest, getting quicker and quicker. So really, really pleased.
Carl Swift, great to see you back for another year of championship action. You actually going to go for it this year?
Yeah, that's the plan anyway. I mean, he managed pole last time out at Alton, but had a radiator failure that I only spotted in the holding lane, so I had to start from the pit lane. So that knackered that weekend up, although still just winning the championship from the two results, so managed to salvage it.
You managed to get towards the podium though, didn't you, in one race?
Yeah, got into the podium at one bit and then took my eye off the ball and missed the braking zone. So, yeah.
Well, it was certainly a very incident-packed couple of races at Alton Park 3 weeks ago. Here at Brands Hatch, it's Carl Swift on pole position ahead of Andrew Gaugler, who won the second of the 2 races at Alton. Mark Higginson, who won race 1, lines up on the inside of row 2, and next to him is Matthew Webster. For this season in the Toyota Civic Cup, the Class A cars have their own separate grid. They go from the back on a delay. Only 4 of them here today at Brands Hatch, though, unfortunately. Red lights go on. Out they go, and they disappear off up to Paddock Hill Bend. Gaugler and Swift on the front row. Swift it is that's made the better of the starts, and Higginson has gone through to P2. Meanwhile, from pole in the Class A cars, a poor start from Mervyn Beckett. I'm sure he'll hold his hands up to that one, because David Buki has already gone through to take the lead, and he's going to lose another place as well to Chris Coomer, the Preston farmer, who's a bit sideways through Paddock Hill Bend, snaps back into a straight line again, and Beckett probably delays a little bit by that as well. There's number 46, John Peerless. He's running P4 at the moment. Now, for a brief time at Alton Park, he thought he'd won his first Civic Cup race after a penalty was applied to Higginson, who was then successful with getting that rescinded. Meanwhile, there is Buki leading the Class A cars, and there was one that started from the pits as well. That was, I think, number 75, David Vincent. There is number 77, that's Daniel Reason, the black car for the driver all the way from Whitehaven in Cumbria. It's a long journey to Brands Hatch, but Swift here making this look quite easy at the moment. Higginson is second, Peerless goes third at the expense of Gaugler, I think, or does he? Yes, he does. Then it is Reason in fifth, and then in sixth place, that may well be the car Matthew Webster. We'll just get a check on that in a moment, but Swift it is that's pulling away. He was second in last year's championship, of course, in the Class B part of it, with Adam Shepherd taking the honours last year. He's moved to the Toyota M3 Cup for this year. So look at this, we've got 6 cars. If this was for the lead, that'd be great, but Carl Swift is just a long way out front already. So it's Higginson in second place. There at the back of the group, you've got car number 18, Joe Locke, who made his debut last time out at Alton, the 19-year-old ventilation engineer from the Wirral. He's done some superkart racing in the past, but Swift it is that continues to lead this race. What's going to give in this train of cars fighting for second place? Peerless there, who's raced Classic Stock Cash up until last season, is trying to mount an attack. He's in third place. Gaugler, the Alton Park winner of race 2, is in fourth. Of course, what happens in the Civic Cup is that we get a reverse top 10, and that means that race 2 often can be a little bit mixed up. Peerless here goes through into second position, so John Peerless takes second place away from Mark Higginson at Surtees there. Bit of smoke trailing off the back of Higginson's car, possibly under braking. Then it's Gaugler in fourth place. Daniel Reason there is in fifth, with the novice cross planted onto the back of his car, showing that he is a newcomer to circuit racing. But Swift's nearly at Druids by the time of the second place gaggle gets through Paddock. Now Peerless is through. Can he pull away from this group, I wonder? I rather suspect not. As Reason here, well, he's got past Gaugler now. That was good work. Can he hold that down to Graham Hill Bend? He's got the inside line. Yes, he can. So Daniel Reason now goes into fourth position. And Higginson, who's a bit more experienced, he's now in his third season in the Civic Cup. And he's the next driver under threat from Daniel Reason. Gaugler throws one back up the inside, though, at Clearways. The door was left open there by Reason. And Gaugler did not need a second invitation to go through, so a change there for fourth place as Peerless and Higginson chase after one another in this fight for second and third. Still 6 cars really in very close proximity, lapping in very similar times indeed. Now Higginson here trying to get up the inside of Peerless into Druids, and he's almost overlapping but not quite enough. Meanwhile, Reason down to Graham Hill Bend is going to get 4th place back away. He might get 3rd place away from Higginson as well. No, not quite. But Reason goes back to 4th. It's Gorgler in 5th. It looks like Joe Locke is in 6th position in the number 18 car. And I think that's Bolton or Webster in 7th place. Rest of the cars coming through, and there you can see David Buki. You can see the faster of the Class A 1600cc cars mix it with the slower 2-litre cars. They are to some degree equalised by weight. When it's very tight and there's a little touch, there's a little rub, and that sends Reason spinning around. It sends Gorgler spinning around as well. Gorgler, well, he just about keeps it out of the gravel trap there. He's got a bit of trim hanging off. He's pointing in the wrong direction. And Gorgler, the winner from last time out at Alton Park, is now well back down the order in car number 16. So this is Peerless and Higginson disputing 2nd and 3rd. Joe Lockett is now 4th, Daniel Reason in 5th. That incident a little while ago really has split the pack a little bit. Carl Swift, we've not seen too much of him, but frankly he's out in front on his own, doing a great job. But not too interesting to watch him when there's some great racing going on further behind in the field. Reason there has sort of latched himself back onto the rear of this group of cars now. And while there's traffic to deal with as well. So coming through Clearways and towards Clark Curve, that looks like the Zach Bond 1600cc car that is being dealt with there. A newcomer in his bright yellow Civic. He's kept out of the way, not really interrupted this battle then for 2nd and 3rd. Peerless, Higginson, Locke and Reason, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. That's the order of them as they turn their way through Druids down towards Graham Hill Bend into the second half of this Toyota Civic Cup race now. Peerless, well, last time out of course he thought he'd got the win. He was 2nd in the end in the classification round 1 of the championship, hoping for better things here. Oh, but he's got a problem, has he? He's slowing at Clearways, and that allows Higginson through. So it's Higginson and Locke and Reason that go through. Just as I was saying that Peerless was hoping for good things here to at least repeat his 2nd place, he has a problem. Well, there's Carl Swift, the ex-stock catch racer and autograsser as well. So lots of different types of motorsport. He was out in the 24-hour race at Silverstone a few weeks ago as well, on the same weekend as the first 2 Civic Cup rounds, so it's a busy time for him. So it's Higginson that is 2nd, and in 3rd place now is, in fact, Daniel Reason, because he's got ahead of Joe Locke. We're on the last lap. Carl Swift already heading through Surtees and McLaren for the final time in this number 45 car. He was 3rd in the championship coming into this weekend behind 2 of the Class A drivers, David Buki and Chris Kuma, but this result will stand him in good stead to extend his championship lead as far as Class B is concerned. He takes the checkered flag as his first win of the season in the Toyota Civic Cup. 2nd is going to be Mark Higginson, and a great result for Daniel Reason to get 3rd place considering the incident he was involved in mid-race. Joe Locke is 4th as well. Bolton it is that's 5th, and Webster 6th. Only 3/10 separating those two at the end as well. But it's Carl Swift that takes the overall and Class B win. David Buki celebrating in Class A. Swift then winning by 16.5 seconds from Mark Higginson, who was about 6/10 clear of Daniel Reason. Joe Locke was 4th, Matthew Bolton 5th, Matthew Webster 6th. No surprise at the fastest lap of the race, and a lap record to Carl Swift on a 55.25. Well, looking further back, you can see the Class A finishers. David Buki was 14th overall, Chris Kuma 18th overall, Mervyn Beckett 19th overall. That was your Class A podium.
Carl Swift, that was a splendid race, winning the first Civic Cup race by about 16 seconds there. It seemed easy. How was it?
They just left me to it. I got round paddock and they were squabbling for second behind, and literally there must have been 10 car laps per lap while they were fighting amongst each other. Every time I looked back there was someone different in second place, so left me to it really.
Mark Higginson coming home in second place there. Nice little fight between you and a few others.
Yeah, we were battling all race from the first lap to right at the end. I mean, I was following John around for most of the race, and he dropped out with a problem, which left me to come home in second, which I was pretty happy about.
David Buki winning the class there for the Civic Cup. Great race out front and mixing it with the Class B boys as well.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I knew I needed to make it stick into turn one. Obviously, with Mervyn qualifying first, so yeah, it was a good race. Yeah.